some of those movies are like 3 hours long.
I'm excited about. We've got a long film to talk about here amongst
We
the
sure
many that
do.
we'll be talking about. Adrian Brody, who actually has a Hungarian background,
Yes.
they're saying that while he was speaking Hungarian, some of the pronunciation for someone who would have been speaking perfect Hungarian was less than perfect. Couldn't that have been a Hungarian actor with a better accent doing a little ADR, automated dialogue replacement
That's
in
what I
that,
was
you know?
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at.
Right?
That's what I was thinking.
And
It's
they say,
like,
oh no, it's not taking jobs away, but it kind of did. It's necessary. Somebody does that. If you're going to have that done by AI, well, that's my job gone.
I fell from heaven and landed on the ground. You are the good angel. I'm the other kind.
Welcome to CooLife Podcast, brought to you by TheRealThingDating.com. www.therealthingdating.com.
Polydor Records for out scouting. This girl grabbed my bangs and ran my head right into the speaker.
Oh,
And everyone here like this, yeah.
When we shot the scene in Good Will Hunting, I didn't know who most of these people were at the time. I mean, they weren't stars. It was Gus Van Sant that directed it. Gus Van Sant was on the floor with Matt Damon's character. I didn't even know who Matt Damon was at that time.
I'm Eva John. I'm a former candidate for local government. I was a children's television entertainer, and I love this world, and I believe we should take care of each other and have a lot of fun along the way. Welcome to CooLife. Here we go.
and welcome to CooLife Podcast's pre-Oscar show. I'm Eva John, and today we have Jon Stewart joining us for our Oscar talk, singer-songwriter. He is so prolific in his songwriting and his performing with his excellent band, Holy Asylum. And I feel so privileged to have you here with us again this year, Jon. Welcome.
thank you for having me here again. I absolutely loved it last year. It was so good. After seeing all the movies, um, interesting, and it's funny now looking back on it. Killer of a Flower Moon, that was incredible. Like,
It
wow.
is quite a movie, isn't it?
It is the length of it. It wasn't one of those movies. It's long, but some of those movies are like 3 hours long.
I'm excited about. We've got a long film to talk about here amongst
We
the
sure
many that
do.
we'll be talking about. But along with our Oscar talk, I just want to remind everyone you're welcome to send your comments to us to info@coollifeworld.com. That's info@COOLIFEworld.com. Send us your Oscar predictions and your thoughts about our other shows, and I'll read that on a future show. And the Oscars, yes, there's a lot of controversy and, the whole idea of people parading their talent and their expertise at a time when there's so much going on. But the fact of the matter is, within its own little world, the Oscars are actually a big economy boost because there are a lot of ordinary people who are working their jobs, driving limousines, working as ushers, who are helping with the tuxedo rentals and
Exactly.
and a few other things. So with things like the California wildfires, which are officially contained as of last night, I believe,
That's what I heard. Yes.
that is a big thing. A lot of people lost their homes. I mean, you can say, oh yes, well these are some of the wealthiest neighborhoods in California. I mean,
Yeah.
one of my favorite highways to drive on is the Pacific Coast Highway, and just
Mm,
everything along that side has just been decimated. Those were people's lives and communities where people are involved with each
exactly.
other, and nobody deserves to go through that. And
No.
I don't know, have you ever encountered anything like fires, like home fires like that, John?
Not really. I mean, the closest thing I've come to, I think, anything being complete chaos like that back when I was living in the UK in '96, the bombings and running from bomb scares and bomb threats
Mm.
and actual bombings and stuff. That was the closest thing I think I've come to something like that. But like not that. I mean, I was safe. I was very lucky, very very fortunate. But
That's
these wildfires, my daughter actually was in San as was in San Diego a week after it. And we were kind of reluctant about her going, but at the
right.
same time, um, she was in San Diego, so it's a little bit south of that. So she was safe,
Thank
and
God.
she made it back home okay. But still, it was still the fear of it because like it wasn't. We weren't hearing all the what the truth of it all was. Like, is it out? Is it what's going on? But now you're right. As of last night, we know the fire is kind of contained, and they think they have a hold on it.
And the thing about it is, like, thank goodness your daughter was in an area that was considered to be safe. And we're back from our holiday hiatus, and this is the start of season 3 of Cool Life podcast. And wonderful to start off season 3 with you again, John.
Thank you so much. I look forward to season 3 very much.
Differences. This year there will be no performance of the best song nominees.
I saw that.
Yeah, very, very
Interesting.
different. So I
That
do
is
want us to make a point to talk about that. As a matter of fact, in this show, we'll be talking about Best Actress nomination, Best Actor nomination, Best Song nomination, and Best Picture nomination, as well as Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress for who's nominated and what our predictions might be.
hmm
Now, in the category of Best Actress, the nominees are Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. So, John, what are your thoughts on this list of phenomenal performers?
Cynthia Riva, I gotta say this. I don't know. Have you ever seen her full name written out like in length form? She has like 6 different names, and I think 2 of those names have more than 14 characters in it. I tried saying it properly. I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. But anyways, um, yes. What to say about Cynthia is that uh, her acting abilities, her ability to make you feel the part, is absolutely incredible. That is one thing she is known for. She's known for having that that kind of magic that
Mm.
makes you feel what she's intending you to feel. That's one thing she's known for. That thing, I find that's fascinating. Amelia Perez, what a wild movie concept too.
And it's funny because Emilia Perez and Wicked, these are both musicals.
Yes,
And usually musicals, usually in the past, I'm talking about, throughout the long history of Oscar, they haven't generally done as well. And it was usually almost an
Mm,
expectation when a musical gets nominated that it's not going to win. Someone was just being nice
that's
and
right.
acknowledging your hard work and
Yes.
thanks for turning up, but not expecting an actual win. In this case, it's possible that it could be a win for either of these actresses, Cynthia Erivo in Wicked or Carla Sofia Gascon in Emilia Perez, even though these are musicals. These are, in some ways, a lot of people have a lot of discomfort with Emilia Perez because some people just don't think it's a very good film. And it's like for the subject matter, even like, watching it, I think I watched it in 3 different pieces and over 2.5 different days, and I don't know without giving away anything on the storyline, that drug cartels and
Hmm.
billionaires making their money out of basically destruction of people's lives,
Yeah.
and then getting away from it, seemingly scot free, to go and to live out your own personal dreams. And so there's something about that that's really, I think, demoralizing and sad,
Yeah.
to know that the drug trade is something that is making for very wealthy lives. I mean, if you look back, I mean, there were the days of prohibition, and I guess I like to bring this up from time to time. The Kennedys, they were bootleggers, right?
Exactly.
So and when I say the Kennedys, the political dynasty of the Kennedys in the
Yes.
United States of America, but their money all came from bootlegging.
Yeah.
And so because their dad Joe didn't end up in jail, then their wealth could be used to launch political careers. And
Hmm.
there was a time when I had hoped, back in the 80s, when there was like that whole horrible wave of crack and gangs and so on going on
Yes.
in LA. And I just hope that in the end that somebody would take a breath and say, "Hey, am I as rich as a guy can get? And can I
Exactly.
just take a step back and use my money for good, not evil?" I still think that if you make your money the wrong way, you should just give it away. Give away to the church or something,
Yeah.
because people have died, lives have been ruined.
Yeah.
But that 80s era didn't seem to launch a whole lot of new wealthy California families of power, at least not that I'm aware of. Guess they never called. And so all that to say, what happens in that film, Amelia Perez, it is, like, for me, a troublesome subject to
Mhm.
find that there doesn't seem to be an opportunity to have any kind of responsibility, any kind of atonement
Mhm.
for being basically an enormous social pariah that
Yeah.
feeds on the destruction of people's lives.
Yeah.
So I think that imbalance, I think, is one of the many things that create some discomfort with that film. But we'll see how the voting goes. Now, I mean, moving down the line, one that I could say is kind of a fun jaunt in a kind of weird way, Anora,
I know.
which
Yeah.
is the way maybe Pretty Woman should have been shot, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
what
Yes.
what do you think of Mikey Madison's chances in that?
Well, I think Mike Madison's chances are quite good. The reviews on Mikey Madison are fantastic,
Right.
especially regarding this film. So I think chances are quite high, to be honest. Specifically, it seems like this movie seems to be, to me, in my opinion, it seems like this one's being pushed kind of first in a real way. I'll explain later once we get into Best Actor, but for some reason, I think this one's being pushed in a certain direction. Like we may see some good stuff coming out of this one.
Well, I think they did a good job. I think they put a lot
Yeah,
of
I agree.
excitement, a lot of tense and intense moments, and for a little while, a fairy tale love story.
Yeah,
That, I got to acknowledge. I mean, again, not throwing the whole thing away, but the main character and the nominated actress, Mikey Madison, is she's an exotic dancer,
yes,
and there's a point where you get to see her dancing on pole. And let's just say, the people who do pole dancing, they are amazing athletes. To look
you have to
graceful,
be.
right?
Yes. Hmm.
To look graceful, to hoist your full body weight, to hang upside down, like, really,
Yeah,
to make it look effortless. And I think we might see one day when, there'll be Olympic pole dancing. And
exactly. We got Olympic breakdancing now, so yeah, of
right?
course, exactly.
And break dancing compared to pole dancing, I kind of think there might be more skill involved with,
Yes,
with pole
there
dancing.
well could be.
I've never tried pole dancing in my youth, when I was strong and limber and flexible, and I have not thought of trying it now in my not quite past my youth. Uh,
I've never
somewhat,
been a pole dancer, but I was a break dancer for the earlier half of my life for
okay,
quite a few years,
right,
and to say this. I have worked in a cage as a dancer. It's not quite the same as being a pole dancer. We had to make money
Definitely.
for a band the one summer, and my singer, they talked me into, like, you come on, we got to do this. We got to make some money. Okay, sure.
You see, he's letting himself off the hook with the words "talked me into." But I want you to know,
Yeah.
John, I'm casting no judgments on
No,
him.
no. It was a great summer. It really was. But anyways, point saying is that yes, pole dancing in its own right it's a very athletic thing to do. You can't be someone who is physically destroying themselves and do pole dancing. It would not work, I don't think.
Right. At
You
least
know?
not for very long.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's definitely very athletic. Yeah.
And however they pulled off the dancing scenes in the film, I would say that Mikey Madison showed her acting chops. And I don't think I've really enjoyed watching someone spew out the words MF quite as much. That was just like, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. It's all right. It's like that was good use of swear words,
Yeah.
and adult content, of course. But it's like, yeah,
Exactly.
good. Thank you. I think you said it for all of us, and I think there are a few of us out there who maybe wanted to say that to somebody or two. And let me just say, Mikey Madison is saying that to you for me.
Yourself!
Me go myself, you go yourself and your fucking mother.
Sweet. Exactly.
And now for Demi Moore, this is
Yes.
her first nomination at the Oscars. It's pretty big stuff. I think people were hoping she would get nominated for some of her earlier work here and there. I mean, she's had a good, solid, steady career. It's just that they weren't necessarily roles that were as meaty, except maybe one or two. And in this case, The Substance.
Mm-hmm.
What
Well,
are your
it's
thoughts
a
on
bit
this
of
film?
it's a bit ironic, like what you're saying. Like she at 50, she's basically, you know, being nominated. It's just it is ironic that because of the state what the movie's about.
Women, we spend a lot of time being sold as a commodity for having certain features.
Mhm.
And, in a planet where there are men and women, then it's sort of like, okay, well, men don't get judged on their age the way women do. They
That's
don't.
right. That's
And,
true.
I actually think Demi Moore is older than 50. I'm not going to look it up.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would
Right?
say so. Yeah.
So it's like her character is 50, but I think she's a lot older.
Yeah.
But, the other side is because Demi Moore, she demonstrates both sides of that pancake in that
Mhm.
about 10 years ago, she, it was all over the news how she'd had $400,000 worth of plastic surgery done. She had everything tucked
Wow.
and sucked and trimmed and slimmed and puffed out here and pressed in there. And, just at the time when she was, taking up with old what's his name who dropped her on her pancake
Yeah.
to move on and have babies with someone else. So,
Mhm.
but or at least to try to. And so it was like, wow, that whole thing of like, here's this amazing woman who, aging authentically
Yeah.
would put a lot of people to shame for how they take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
did she feel she needed, in order to hold on to a younger man, need to do these things? Having to have $400,000 worth of plastic surgery isn't the buy-in to having a stable relationship. But that just seemed to be
Exactly.
the timing. And then, so in a way, her life informs this role beautifully, And
Mhm.
again, trying to withhold judgment on her decision. It's her body, her choice. She wanted to have plastic surgery. She didn't do anything illegally.
No,
She,
exactly.
right? She didn't hurt anybody. But, you can say, oh, people look up to you. And, yeah, look up to your friends and your mom. Yeah. But
Yeah.
in this film, it's like truly, and I think it's right still that they have it in the role of a woman. This happens with men. It does. It's not
Mhm.
talked about as much, but it happens with men. But it really happens with women. And it starts with us really like right from the time we're like soon as we are like 13, 14, people start commenting on how we look.
Yeah.
And straight through, they don't stop till we get through menopause, and they start talking about our turkey waddle, and having bingo wings and
Yeah.
whatever, right? What do they name on a man's body? That is like turkey waddle and bingo wings. That's what we've got.
Well, I
Right?
mean, it's I think that's when men and women become one around that, because they're both the same around that
Right.
time. They both have that.
But they don't identify a man's bingo wings and turkey waddle. Those were they gave those to women. Or when we're
No.
younger, they'll say things like they can bounce a quarter off of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not talking about men. They're talking about once in a while someone might say it about a man, but they were talking about parts of a woman's body
Yeah.
at the time. So it's just like it is a thing as a part of our society that, we have a long way to go. We've come a long way and
Yes.
we've got a long way to go. And I think this film is saying that we've got a
Yeah.
long way to go. Demi Moore really is a perfect woman to play that role
I
because she
agree.
definitely walked that mile in those shoes.
I think her personality itself is good enough for like a poster child. I guess I think she definitely would be that. Yeah.
She's definitely brought a lot of authenticity to her understanding of that type of judgment.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And it would be nice to see her win. I don't believe her performance is an Oscar-winning performance.
Hmm.
I believe that Oscar realized, as they have in the past, that they owe her one. They owe
Yeah.
her a nod.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see her win. Statistically, Oscar winners live longer. Did you know that?
Oh, I bet they do.
They have a higher longevity.
This almost brings us kind of right back to Wizard of Oz.
A social touchstone
Yeah.
or a piece of an historical element that we don't have to be educated about who these people are and what their background are. What we are being educated on is the
Exactly.
deeper experience of these characters. And I think it's a fun way to do this. I get nervous whenever things start to turn bad in a film, and I kind of go, oh boy, I wish I was home having some orange juice and
I know.
cookies.
No, exactly, Bernie. Exactly. Yeah.
And so things do take a turn. So there's no lack of drama and ups and downs and areas, for the room for these characters to grow
Hmm.
and develop there.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful for Cynthia Erivo, but there is Fernanda Torres to consider, who's also
Yes.
been nominated. In the case of Fernanda Torres, she's in a film that I think handicaps her performance.
Hmm.
Her performance is really interesting. I'm Still Here, she's the wife of, like, her character goes through this huge arc. By the end of the film, she's a lady in her 80s, right? Who's
Hmm.
transformed completely. And so she is fully transformed by the end of the film.
Hmm.
And she is gliding on the winds of a pretty horrible social, political era
Yeah.
in Brazil, where people were disappeared, where people ran for their lives if they could,
Yeah.
and some people do not know quite enough about these stories because a lot of them were hidden, and they don't know quite enough about being on the wrong side of politics. It's like, really, is there a wrong side of politics that gets you killed?
Yeah.
Right? And
Exactly.
it's a great jumping off point to read more, to educate yourself as an individual on what happened in Brazil in this era,
Hmm.
and then to maybe see the film again. I just feel that some of those kind of maybe blank spots historically, as far as being news items that maybe a lot of the viewing audience might not be familiar with,
Yeah.
then I think that might make it easier to vote for someone else because it's a vote, right? What do you feel that Fernanda Torres, what her chances are in this category?
Her acting is fantastic. Like, it's not saying her acting is not. She's fantastic, but I don't think it's quite as strong as compared to other Cynthia Erivo. It didn't seem like her part was quite as strong as the others in this category. The intent behind the film is brilliant.
Right.
I think the intent behind this film is absolutely brilliant, and and you're exactly right. Being raised with a lot of people from Brazil, I mean, it is there is a lot of family business that people don't talk about,
Right.
and that is true. That is very, very true. And so, like, I mean, to bring that to a head is, yeah, that's art in a sense, right? So,
It's art, and I feel that
yeah,
amongst all of the actresses in this category for Best Actress, that her character, I feel, goes through the most profound transformations, and that she had to show all those different parts of a woman's life.
yeah.
And I think she did an amazing job of that.
Hmm.
I is it Oscar worthy? I think so, yeah. But will
Yeah.
she win? I don't think so because
No, I don't. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be as well her performance rather. I don't think her performance is going to be as well recognized just due to the the background of the story.
Yeah.
For my hopes, I hope Cynthia Erivo wins. I hope
Yeah.
Demi Moore wins. Who I think is going to win is Mikey Madison, and I think it's
I
going to be
think so too.
pretty amazing.
It's funny. I was going to say that too. I was going to say Mikey Madison. If it follows like what happened last year, I was still a little bit shocked that even Emma Stone. Now, after watching Poor Thing several times,
Right.
like her part was incredible. The way she played it, like I thought it was amazing. The way that she held herself was really cool. So, like, if it goes like this year, then therefore I think yes, Mikey Madison will be. This is sort of in the similar kind of pitch. So I would think yes. However, I think Cynthia Erivo has a high chance of winning this year.
We shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see
Yeah,
who ends up winning.
exactly.
Right now, we're taking a break. We're going to talk about our sponsors and supporters. But first, we're going to hear a song by Jon Stewart. We're going to hear You Are My Drug by
Ooh.
Jon Stewart on Cool Life Podcast.
Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. This is CooLife Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to CooLife on your streaming service and on YouTube as Hellenique Today. That's HELENIQUE Today. Because that helps us to bring more cool stuff to your ears. You're listening to the CooLife Podcast. We'll be right back.
And we are back on CooLife Podcast. I'm Eva John, and we're continuing our conversation with Jon Stewart in our pre-Oscar show. And so next, we're going to discuss the category of Best Actor nominations for the Oscars. First, we have Adrien Brody, who is nominated as Best Actor in The Brutalist. Timothy Chalamet, who's nominated for his title role as Bob Dylan in the film A Complete Unknown. And Coleman Domingo, who is in his second consecutive Oscar nomination in his role in the film Sing Sing. Ralph Fiennes, who has been nominated for Conclave. And finally, my profound secret love, Sebastian Stan, who is nominated in the role of Donald Trump in the film The Apprentice. And there you have it, folks.
Here we are.
How do you go through this and not get arrested and not go to jail for discussing this? So here we go.
And go.
So we'll start with Adrien Brody. So Adrien Brody, Adrian. So Adrien, he is a fine performer, but he gets a lot of judgment for his not so appropriate choices at the Oscars when he won. And he, went on stage and he grabbed hold of Halle Berry.
Yes.
My spiritual twin.
Mm-hmm.
And kissed her without her forewarning or permission. And he basically used her like a prop. And I'm bringing this up because a lot of people take that as a judgment of his character, even though he is an excellent actor. They're voting for this. People are campaigning, just the way someone might not vote for a politician, not just for the platform and for his policies, but for the nature of his character. That could play into it. It could.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't at all, even a little bit. But it could. And so even though he has turned out an amazing performance in The Brutalist, it's almost always mentioned, it's kind of marked and marred him that he, in this moment, decided to use Halle Berry for this passionate kiss and has never, in all these years since, ever referred or reflected on it with an apology to her. Do you feel this is going to affect his chances at an Oscar this year?
It's funny you say that. Yes, given a slight bit, because given if this was, let's say it this way, if this was 30 years ago, would never even be a question. But given this day, people are evolving. People are more conscious now of things. And in this, I hate using the term "in this day and age." I hate that term. It's just so ugh. But it's just. But at the same time, truthfully, in this time, yes, I think that it probably will. It probably will have an effect on his chances for an Oscar. Absolutely, yes, I think so.
Well, he plays a very complex and intriguing role in The Brutalist. He's, and who would ever think, being an architect would be complex and intriguing, but it is because he is a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
He is, I mean, the film has some controversy because there are SA
Hmm.
activities in this film.
Yeah.
And so, along with the performance and the material,
Hmm.
I think people come out of this film with a lot of more thoughts to sit down over a nice piece of cake and coffee and continue to
Yeah.
talk about. And there's nothing better about a film than wanting to talk about it for days and days after you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And the film. I mean, we might bring this up some more, but his performance. Some people are throwing a little shade on there because there has been some AI techniques used to
Yeah.
enhance his performance. What do you think about AI being used in his performance?
Well, here's the thing. So to use it when it comes to doubling up someone else to make two of them or something like that. That's one thing, but to enhance someone's accent because maybe their accent isn't perfect. And it's a tool. I mean, it's like any kind of tool. You use a tool. If it depends on its delivery.
Mhm.
I think it really depends on the delivery of it. Like, but people, I think, are when you use the word CGI, they get scared right away because the
Right.
minute you say that, they assume that it's something that's going to be phony. It's going to look ridiculous.
Right.
It may look real, but it's also very phony because it's just not normal for someone to do that.
Mhm.
In this case, if it's to enhance one's accent because their accent is not quite, I can see it. I don't think it's a bad use. Maybe I would use it for something. Maybe I would.
I think also, AI, I've always said it's a tool. It's just if it's not an overused tool, it's good.
Hmm.
I mean, their concern was Adrian Brody, who actually has a Hungarian background,
Yes.
and he uses a Hungarian accent when he speaks English. So that wasn't changed anyway. They're saying that while he was speaking Hungarian, some of the pronunciation for someone who would have been speaking perfect Hungarian was less than perfect, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Hungarian is not really an easy language. It's a language I enjoy a lot personally. I
Yeah.
can say things like "Ha meghalok, eltemetnek angyalok," and so it just means if I die, I die. The
Yeah.
angels will bury me.
That's beautiful.
And it's a beautiful way to say it. Hearing certain sounds in Hungarian, I think, is what really attracts me to the language.
Hmm.
When you hear something like "angyalok," which is so it's subtle, and you're just like, hey, isn't that just angels? Yeah,
Yeah.
but you don't say it exactly the same way. And or fekete gyöngy. I haven't even perfected that word for black pearl. Fekete gyöngy, right? And so I find there's a lot of fun in the words like vasarnap. Actually, that's my favorite, vasarnap and
Vashanap.
vasarnap, which actually means
Vashar. Vashanap tabarak.
oh, there you got two languages going there. But it's a beautiful and challenging language and very musical language. And chutertuk, my other favorite word. Sorry. So my favorite word, chutertuk, is Thursday.
Truth there. That's very interesting.
It's beautiful. And the thing is it's like, what is that from? Like I don't know, it's Hungarian. But because they take these cool little sounds and each sound has to be there and mean something. I understand why they were maybe a little picky since he was going to speak his own Hungarian lines.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
If some words came out a little less than perfect, if
Hmm.
such a beautiful language takes its time to make the word Thursday sound so interesting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But you almost wish, like, okay, well, couldn't that have been a Hungarian actor with a better accent doing a little ADR, automated dialogue replacement.
That's
in
what I
that,
was.
you know,
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at.
right?
That's what I was thinking.
And
It's
they
like,
say, "Oh no, it's not taking jobs away," but it kind of did, because I'll tell you, I in my youth, I made a lot of money doing ADR, and
yeah,
for some reason, I could make my voice sound like other people's voices, and then they would just fix things, like in a room that had just there was too much noise, they couldn't salvage the sound, or they were by a beach or something. Or what was that series that was supposed to be in Florida, but they shot it all in Israel, and so all of the day
oh,
players had this heavy Israeli accents, and so would replace everything they were saying with like an American accent, and
oh my,
so it was like, yeah, so it's like it's necessary. Somebody does that. If you're going to have that done by AI, well, that's my job gone. So as far as knowing that they were trying to replace that dialogue, but with AI, is a little
yeah,
bit heartbreaking. I mean, I have retired from doing ADR and acting altogether, but so
hmm,
far, and the thing is that that's still someone else's job,
well,
and could
yeah,
have been and should have been, I
yeah,
feel. Even if they say it was just a very small percentage of his dialogue that was replaced with AI,
yeah,
that very small percentage of dialogue is someone else's for our minimum at union rates.
yeah,
Like, we
exactly.
definitely are talking about human beings not having their jobs and being replaced by AI, which AI is simply trying to imitate the human being.
Yeah,
So it's not that this is irreplaceable. I understand that if you're using robotics to do, say, surgery, and that you need something that will be absolutely steady and will put a needle straight through somebody's aorta without touching the walls, I understand.
exactly. Yeah,
It's possible the human hand could tremble and nick the walls of someone's aorta.
absolutely.
But it's like having someone replace your not so great Hungarian accent with a better Hungarian accent. I'm not 100% good with that.
Yeah,
And I'm sure he did an amazing performance that is Oscar worthy even without fixing that. Like if they left it in, right? I mean, we'll be talking about this a little later, I think, but
yeah,
Selena Gomez, right, is nominated for Best Supporting from Emilia Perez.
hmm,
She is being heavily criticized
I
for
know her lack of accent.
not having a good, not sounding like, and they're also mad that a lot of the people in there playing Mexicans weren't Mexican at all.
No, of
Um,
course.
so Selena Gomez, they're not happy the fact that her use of Spanish doesn't sound great.
Yeah,
And could they have done something? Yes, they could have. But did they give us an authentic performance? Yes, they did.
hmm,
And are
yeah,
we getting too used to perfection now through AI? Because AI has been used in other things, right? The Mandalorian, right?
hmm,
So those performances, two of the performances in Mandalorian, those are AI, right? And apparently with permissions and so on. But still, are we getting used to the fact that the so-called best possible performance of a human being is no longer good enough?
yeah.
No, I know. Now there's other people nominated in this category, believe it or not. So now Timothy Chalamet, and I mean he's been nominated for a Complete Unknown. Bob Dylan, he's informed my life beautifully. I love him. He's gone through in many different iterations as a human being. I think the best thing he ever did was not really talk about himself in the
Yeah,
press, not really let the press talk about him. So
mhm,
his image and what we know and love about him has been actually very controlled. But you,
exactly.
as a musician, as a performer, as a singer songwriter, what are your thoughts of this nomination?
Well, I think he's fantastic. Well, also the work that was put in, maybe not a lot of people know about this, but he trained for this for years, for 4 years, I believe. He trained to do this role. So that's profound. Like I did that in when I was uh, singing for a David Bowie project where we had to train. I literally was trained for 4 years just to be able to do that. And the work that was
Wow.
put into it was insane. We had to strip my accenting to not match his, to not sound like him.
Mhm.
And that was the thing. In this case, they had to do the opposite. They had to strip his own self and turn him into Bob Dylan. That's incredible. Because like it's one thing, because like do you make it believable, or are you turning them into a modern version of him? Is that the intent? It depends what the intent is here. And in this case, I think that they really went with trying to get it really authentic,
Yes.
who Bob Dylan was,
Yeah.
and played more about the emotion about who he was than they actually did. Even the songs, this the songs are brilliant, but I think it was more about his mannerisms. Bob's mannerisms, especially in earlier years, the whole "We Are the World" thing, that was out a few years ago. Watching that was profound. You realize, oh my, he's a real person. He's he has
Yeah.
he has flaws. He's a you know he's not perfect all the time. That's amazing, and just a very real person. And I think that Timothy really uh, brings that right out.
And as an actor who, as you said, he had to train for 4 years to get this performance and immerse himself in, the heart and soul of Bob Dylan. He did play Saturday Night Live, right?
Mhm.
And he was the musical guest as well, because after this much training, why not? Right?
Exactly.
And I watched it and I listened, and he was good,
Yeah.
but he was good I feel, as an actor playing a musician,
Playing a musician.
and
Yes.
as an actor singing. And watching him on Saturday Night Live, all I thought was, in my own musical expertise for
Mm,
the little work I've done with musicians over the past decades, I would
mm,
say, from what I heard, I would not give him a recording contract if it was in my hands to give,
no.
because he's not ready.
Yeah.
He would need to spend, like, it's one thing to train. Another thing, I would say, tell him, go on the road for 2 or 3 years, sing night after night, learn how to take care of your
Exactly.
voice, learn
Yeah.
how to listen to your voice, and, not take your closing notes and go, like, spend half the song going singing a little sharp, and at the end, you're going a little flat, because those are
Exactly.
things that live performers and real performers, they don't do that.
That's right.
They do.
That's
I've watched you, John, so you just go there, and it's just like, okay, I'm going to do this song, and great. So you do a perfect performance of the song, and then
hmm
you go home while everyone else feels like, yeah, it's just music. He worked for 3 minutes. It's a 3 minute song. Yeah, 3 minutes
Oh boy.
of a perfect performance.
Yeah.
And and it shows you those 4 years of work. Timothy Chalamet is great. He
Mm.
he cannot he cannot generate a perfect 3 minute performance yet,
No.
because he isn't really a musician. He did a really
That's right.
amazing job. I'm not tearing him down even a little bit, but what I'm saying is that it's nice that they had him do his own singing
Yes.
and
hmm
apparently his own acting. But I would say that it even tells you, Bob Dylan is known for having that kind of flawed performer sound. It's
This
not
is
so flawed. It isn't.
no.
His flawed performer sound, that kind of natural, kind of whiny, twiny, up and down sound,
Yeah.
is really perfected. And
Yes.
even that, you think, oh,
Even
there's
that
lots of
is
leeway.
perfected. That's
Even
right.
that is perfected.
Exactly. Exactly. That's like someone was talking about Bruce Springsteen the
Mm,
other day.
right.
I was having a conversation, and they're like, "Oh, his voice is so all over the map and so rustic." I was like, "Have you not listened to him? Like it's purposely like that,
Yeah.
purposely like that. Same thing as Bob Dylan. Like he, what he's doing it on purpose. He's not doing it because it's just the way it sounds.
Yeah.
It is, in a sense, just the way it sounds, but he is purposely doing that like that because that's the way
That's
he
right.
wants it.
Yeah.
It's very simple, right? And you're right. I think with Timothy Chalamet, yeah, like it's this is an actor playing the role of a musician. We've had these past recent movies in the last few years where some actors have almost became musicians because of their roles. This is with this one, I think you're completely right. This is like it seems like an actor playing the role of a musician.
Yeah. And doing a great job.
Absolutely, yes.
Scored an Oscar
Yeah.
nomination. He might even win, but I'd
Yep.
say anybody handing out recording contracts would say that he'd need a couple years on the road before they'd sign him. And so, moving right along, shall we? Coleman Domingo. I feel somehow
Oh,
that
yes.
Sing Sing. This is a film that is looking at men in prison. Now, it's just a statement of fact that in the United States of America, we're in Canada, but still in the United States of America, 25% of Black men are incarcerated.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's a lot of talent, ability, moms missing their sons,
That's right.
wives missing their husbands, girlfriends missing their boyfriends, children missing their fathers that are taken out of the circulation of the population, taken out of their pattern of their lives. And this film looks at a man who's there wrongly, incorrectly. There's another film also that's been nominated that also looks at a man of color who is wrongly incarcerated. So it's maybe it's good that they have these films bringing to light some horrible things that have been going on and have been woven into the history of the United States. I find it so incredibly saddening and depressing to have to find your joy and your strength under these circumstances,
Yeah.
and yet they do. And what do you think of
Exactly.
Coleman Domingo's chances of an Oscar in this role?
Well, with the movie Intent, I think is high chance that he could score something pretty big in this, being the fact that he is playing such a pivotal role in that. Like that's incredible. So yeah, I think his chances are very great that he could win. And plus, too, the emotional. Uh, I read one review about this, and his emotional side of it alone uh, is can be considered fairly Oscar worthy.
Right.
So yeah,
Definitely, I think he definitely has a strong chance here. Ray
yeah,
Fiennes in Conclave, that's kind of an easy one. He's an amazing actor. I don't know if people realize that he's like an amazing, sexy actor.
yeah.
That man, he knows what to do with a love scene, and there are no love scenes in this film for him. But I will say that it to me speaks volumes on his abilities as an actor
hmm
to convey so much because you don't think of him as you don't look at him in this film and go, this guy knows what to do with a love scene because he just he does what he needs to do
Yeah.
with whatever is given to him, and I know he could do anything. I would bet money that you could let him train, give him the script, and then film him in the role of Bob Dylan and not be disappointed,
Mhm.
because I believe that he is that committed a performer, and I think he could win. Will he win? I think that that Oscar might think it's not his turn anymore. I don't know. What do you feel about his chances?
I find this segment, the best actor, is far more difficult than the best actress. That's what I was trying to bring up earlier on. Is I said I want to touch base on this when we go to talk about the actors. I think this is a tighter group here. The best actor is quite tighter than the best female. His chances are quite good. So I find it hard to judge this one.
Hmm.
I really do. It's a hard one to judge.
It's a hard one to judge because they've
It
done such
is.
a good job. They
Yeah.
give him every enhancement, amazing costumes, like just the sets and scenery. Some of it is hypnotic and mesmerizingly beautiful.
Mhm.
To be in the Vatican. I've visited the Vatican in my life,
Yeah.
and like, maybe might visit again one day. And I think there's something special about having places that are meant to embody our faith, that they are brought to a high level of design, and they've shown this in the film. And you can carry your faith anywhere, but it is a very special place, the Vatican. And I think
Yeah.
that having his words ring out in that type of a setting it's I think also very very special. And
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
we'll see
definitely.
if it turns into an Oscar. Now, Sebastian Stan.
Oh, your favorite, Sebastian Stan.
My Sebastian Stan. I feel like Hollywood has never really given him the roles he deserved,
Hmm.
and that he's really cute, but he's an incredibly talented performer, and I
Hmm.
don't feel that many of his roles have really been equal to his abilities. Maybe here, but I mean, I think it took a lot of bravery to make The Apprentice.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, these people realize that maybe I'll end up in jail. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Do they know? They don't know. But
No,
I'm glad the film was made, and I don't know what'll happen. Like, if he wins his Oscar for this,
yeah.
like, I would love him to win an Oscar for this. I would, but I believe they're going to give it to Timothy Chalamet, and I think Adrian Brody absolutely deserves an Oscar for it. Are they going to hold his this small bit of past history against him? I don't
I
know.
think they will. Like you're like yeah, I do think that is going to be come into play here, unfortunately for him. But Timothy Chalamet, I think, is going to take this category.
I think
So
they.
we're on the same on that. I
I
think.
think all of Hollywood is behind Timothy Chalamet's career
Yeah,
going on like forever. And I think, who it goes on. Yes, he spells his name the French way, Timothée. There used to
yeah,
be like a line of hair products and shampoos and conditioners, right? Timothée,
yeah.
Timothée. And
Exactly,
from,
Timothy.
from the 70s,
That's
folks, if
right.
you don't remember it, back when we could put Javex and mix that with shampoo and put those together.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that Hollywood is paving a way for him. His performance is there. His hard work is there, and I don't know. To me, I feel like it's like a mud wrestling fight with Adrian Brody, Timothy Chalamet, and Sebastian Stan. I
I
would
agree.
like to see Coleman Domingo. Like, that's an Oscar-winning performance, but
I know. I know.
what will Hollywood vote? I think they're going to give it to Timothy Chalamet, and I think
Yeah.
Adrian Brody and Sebastian Stan could and should. I think it should be a three-way
Yeah.
split.
Yeah. That's what it is.
And there should be honorary mention for Coleman Domingo. Coleman Domingo, he's going to be like an Oscar winner for years and years to come. I
Yes,
think
he is.
that man cannot do a bad performance.
No. No. Exactly. Exactly.
So I don't know. I'd like to see it. Like you said, it's really tight, this category.
It is. It is. That's what I mean. It's really tight. Like to me, I think if you're to ask me who is going to get this category, like as I said, the last category to me was definitely, I think it's Cynthia. However, in this one, I do believe it's going to be Timothy Chalamet
Yeah,
is going to get it.
I think he's going to win it.
I think.
Right now, we're taking a break. We're going to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with more pre-Oscar talk on Cool Life Podcast.
Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. You're listening to the Cool Life Podcast. We'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
Cool Life Podcast. I'm Eva John, and we are continuing our pre-Oscar talk with musician, singer, songwriter Jon Stewart. And John, we're going to move on, take a look at a couple more categories. And what we have to look at now is Best Original Song.
Okay, here we go. For Best Original Song, we have Never Too Late, Elton John. El Mal, Amelia Perez. Clement Ducal, Camille and Jacques Audiard. Mi Camino, Amelia Perez. Clement Ducal and Camille. Like a Bird, Sing Sing, Adrian Quesada and Abraham Alexander. The Journey, The 6888, Diane Warren. And that is our Best Original Song category.
Best original song. I mean, can't help but be swayed. I do love anything written by Diane Warren. Diane Warren has also co-written with Paris Black.
Ah, wow.
She is,
Interesting.
highly acknowledged and recognized in her songwriting skills and abilities. Her multiple nominations. I mean, there are a lot of people who feel that awards nominations don't belong in the arts. It's not a reflection of your talent and abilities, especially with something like music. I feel that music in film is even more important than ever. It's the perfect, purest conveyance of emotion.
I agree. I think it's extremely important.
You don't even have to speak the language to
No.
know something important is being conveyed, something beautiful, something horrible or hateful or angry. It's absolutely a universal language. I'm
Yes.
glad they acknowledged this music in the awards. And I feel it's important to acknowledge someone's talent when it reaches a superlative.
Yeah.
So, more power to them for now. I know some people's philosophies don't match up with what I've just said, and that's okay. You can judge me, but I won't judge you.
Well, Eva, I'll judge you on this. I actually love the fact that you said that because that's absolutely truth. I, the one main thing I do love, like, it's like what you said about you may not understand the language, you understand the emotion, and that's a universal language. That's something that words can't even express. That is something, the power of the intensity of the words you're using. You may not know anything what that word means, but you understand exactly. One time I'll tell you really quickly. It was when I was in England when I was younger, 19 years old. I'm sitting at a pub with this man from Germany that could not speak any English, and that's very odd for someone from Germany because most people in Germany speak English, right? So it was kind of interesting that this man couldn't. But anyways, we sat there and we understood one language. That was drunk, very drunk, right? And
Okay.
we were laughing so much that tears are in our eyes. And the bartender kept feeding us drinks and laughing at us. Everyone's laughing at us because we are understanding each other perfectly fine.
Right.
We could not understand a word each other was saying. That's what this is, in a sense.
Amazing. What a beautiful
Right?
moment.
Yeah. But that's what this is, right? It's like when uh, this movie that I used to love called The Lover, 80s, 70s, 80s movie, all done in Spanish. I couldn't understand a single thing what it said, but however, I understood it perfectly fine.
Right.
Beautiful movie. And I agree.
Universal languages. Well, my vote goes to Diane Warren. Thank you, guys. I mean, sorry, I'm not voting for Uncle Elton right now, and that's okay. No particular reason, but I want to vote for Diane Warren. I'd love to see her win again, and I think that could be really, really wonderful. Do you have a favorite to pick for this year's Oscars?
Song wise,
Or best original song?
best original song, I think Like a Bird is an incredible, beautiful tune.
Yeah.
Me Camino, like it's gorgeous. Like stuff like, how can you not absolutely love that? Like uh Elton John's just the tone of his voice. Like he could probably sing about absolute garbage and I would still love the sound of his voice. It's just part of uh part of my bones actually. It's one thing. He's one of the reasons I love about a vocalist, that he feels every note and he does a deep dive into every note, and he doesn't stop until that note is heard.
Right.
That's
And, you
what
know, it is something because that's what conveys the emotions, right? That he's
exactly
really bringing something
holding
true.
the note. And you mentioned something about Timothy Chalamet, actually, like in that where he kind of cuts it off almost, right? And that's true. That is true. Uh, but like my point is, I guess I think if I was to like, pick one song, um, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
You all win, John
Yeah,
says.
exactly. The journey. Yeah, fantastic. So yes,
All good songs, and they're only going to hand an Oscar to one. So I
exactly.
think Diane Warren will win, and
Yeah,
we'll just see
yeah.
what happens. There's, of course, I'd love to see Like a Bird win, sure,
Hmm.
but how will they vote? We'll find out. I think they'll vote for Diane Warren.
Okay.
Moving right along to picture. And John, could you kindly state the titles of the nominees for Best Picture?
Best Picture: Honora, Neon, The Brutalist, A24, A Complete Unknown, Searchlight, Conclave, Focus, Dune Part 2, Warner Brothers, Amelia Perez, Netflix, I'm Still Here, Sony Classics, Nickel Boys, Amazon MGM, The Substance, Mumbai, Wicked, Universal.
What a list. And do you have any favorites amongst that long list of amazing films?
I would like to see Honora do something.
Hmm.
I'd like to see Honora do something. And I'm curious as to what Wicked is, what that's gonna do. I think that has a possibility of being up there, with this, with Best Picture. I'm also thinking I'm going with A Complete Unknown. I think has the chance. I think it's gonna. I think he's probably going to take possibly Best Actor. Would be. However, there is a slight chance he could take A Complete Unknown, just because of the fact that this is a story of Bob Dylan. I mean that's possible, but like also the uh, the intensity behind it. Um, if I may say, however, the substance I think has a very high chance for many reasons why that could end up taking. So I'm
Wait a minute. I think I'll take one reason. What? Give me a reason why you think the substance is in the running.
sorry, I couldn't hear you. The mic was doing something weird
Oh,
there.
I think it was doing that.
There it is.
So give me one reason why you think the substance is in the running.
Well, I think for political reasons, it probably is. I think that's absolutely the focus of that. I mean, this is the Oscars we're talking about, right? So
Right.
it's very possible where that could play a part in this, being this given year, the way things are. Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. So I'd be shocked if it's not close.
So we'll see. I mean, Oscar does owe a few people involved in that production, but I would also
Yeah.
say that Nickel Boys, I feel,
Hmm.
is a very strong contender. There is some technical strength shown in that film. It's
Hmm.
shot in constantly using first person perspective.
Hmm.
So the cameras were constantly mounted to be on the performer. So, you know, the person coming in for a hug or person walking up to the other person, the camera
Yeah.
is living in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
And just as a technique to make that experience your
Real.
experience
Yeah.
throughout the film is very, very special. And it's bringing to light, some hidden stories about men. And in fact, there's for an actual detention center for young men that it was closed in 2011, and by 2013, bodies were being found on the property.
Yeah.
Men were being brutalized. Young men were being brutalized to the point of the loss of their life. It was an open secret, and there was a constant SA going on with the young men who were incarcerated. In this story, there's of course a young man who is actually unfairly and incorrectly incarcerated there, and in a situation where, unfortunately, I think there's many mothers of young men who narrowly escaped such a situation, or didn't escape that situation, where a friend or an acquaintance says, "Hey, I'm going somewhere. Want to get a ride with me?" I'm like, why wouldn't you want to get
Yeah.
a ride rather than walk
Exactly.
or take bus and be a
Mhm.
sucker on a bus, right? And so
Yeah.
you take the ride, and turn out that's a stolen vehicle, and that's the end of all your hopes and dreams, because
Exactly.
you're now complicit in a crime.
Mhm.
So, for someone to be wrongly incarcerated and then to meet with these kinds of brutalities that were going on without stop, and to try to escape with your sensibilities and your creativity and your spirit intact.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that it's just absolutely saddening and sickening that people can be taken off the course of their life. I mean, what else do we have in this world but our lives? And
Exactly.
so I'm glad that this story has come to light. It's very, exhausting and tiring to know that this has happened to people. And, you know, there's a point where there's a character that says to the young man that she's sorry, that she feels that she has let him down, that everyone let him down.
Mhm.
And, you know, she didn't let him down. I think what happened is that there's a situation, there's institutionalized conduct that
Mhm.
made this all possible. That one type of person will go through that situation and not end up with their lives in ruin, and another type of person will go through that same situation and lives will never be the same, or their
Yeah.
lives will be ended, because you're now at the mercy and the whim of people who are sad and sick and need help themselves.
Mhm.
So, as my father would say, get very rich,
Yeah.
build a stone house with a very thick door, go home and close that door. And a story like that, you kind of feel like, yeah, that sounds like a solution to me.
It does.
And because to find, young men in a tender age, but, who are exposed to these horrible situations, but to make it into a film, to be brave enough to put that into a film and to say this story needs to be told. I'm glad of that, and I hope one day these stories don't need to be told if these stories don't exist any longer, and that the people who are brutalizing others will find the help and healing to stop brutalizing others as
Mhm.
their expression of their own inner illness.
Yeah.
So I hope they win the Oscar for that film to help to
Mhm.
highlight this. You say, oh, that's very political. Is that entertainment? Well, they've also made the film in such an artistic way as to be really visually interesting and magnetic.
Yeah.
Who else do you think might win?
Yeah.
Was it
Well,
a 10-minute speech? It might have been.
yeah. I think that's pretty much sums it up. I think it does.
I hope Nickel Boys wins.
Nickel
Okay,
Boys has
I
a,
hope
has a
so.
really good chance of winning. Really good chance.
And we're going to take a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with more Oscar talk on Cool Life Podcast with Jon Stewart.
Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. This is CooLife Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to CooLife on your streaming service and on YouTube as Hellenique Today. That's HELENIQUE Today. Because that helps us to bring more cool stuff to your ears. You're listening to the CooLife Podcast. We'll be right back.
And we are back on CooLife Podcast. I'm Eva John, and we're continuing our pre-Oscar talk with Jon Stewart as our guest. John, moving on to our next set of nominees for Best Supporting Actor.
Best Supporting Actor: Yura Borisov, Honora; Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain; Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown; Guy Pearce, The Brutalist; Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice.
Interesting films, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of hope that The Apprentice. I think that I just wonder what the thinking is there, but good performances. Is this a protest film? Is it like, because it reveals some, things. Like, I don't understand how any of them are still standing, that they haven't been sued, and
Oh, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
so I say grab the Oscars while you can, and that
Yeah.
might help to keep you out of jail. I don't know, like Kieran Culkin. I'm just really glad Home Alone's bro is
Yeah.
in there, right? And it's like, not resting on the laurels of the family favorite or the
No.
favorite.
No. Yeah. Like he's gaining his own. He's always gained his own sort of strength on his own way.
In this
Like,
little film. But you know what's
yeah.
also the kind of it, like, I know I can't call it controversial, but like, did they kind of muddy the waters on the categories? Because his performance is only 4 minutes or 3 minutes shorter than the screen time of the so-called lead performer in this film. And
Mm.
should he have been nominated as a lead performer?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So I was reading a review on that. So yeah. So there's that. That's a big deal in this movie. And yeah. So is this co-lead
Right.
role? Is that a thing? Co-lead role?
Well,
Is that
yeah.
a thing?
Yeah, because, I think it's just that people are still kind of caught up in, the young lady has stepped out. The thing is that people are still kind of caught up in, um, the structure of gender, and saying that a film would have one leading man and one leading lady.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, okay, if there's two guys, are they both
Yeah.
leading men? And I know what the discomfort is with that. Really, yes, that's
Yeah.
how it's written, guys. There's two leading men,
Yeah.
and you can nominate both or one as leading men. You don't have to put one down to
No.
enhance the other, and to try to. And it's not a put down to be nominated as a best supporting. That's nominate me as a best supporting anything. I'm fine with it. I
Yeah.
have no complaints. But
Yeah.
the thing is, when you put in as much work, and your whole management team puts in as much work, and the writers and everybody's
Exactly.
putting in as much work, then why not correctly acknowledge that? I don't know. Maybe they felt he just wasn't going to make the cut. in the top 5 for leading man. I don't know. I still am, you know, kind of up in the air with best supporting. So who do you see as your pick for best supporting male?
Best supporting male. Well, to be honest, I'm probably going to go with Guy Pearce.
Right?
I'm probably going to go with Guy Pearce, just because of the actual movie itself. Uh, I think there's a desire for push for this movie. Uh, so I really do believe that. Uh, I mean, Guy Pearce's character was. I thought kind of surprised that supporting actor, to be honest.
Mm.
In this one. So that's what I think.
Well, with Guy Pearce, I mean, he plays like a guy who's basically, a monster,
Yeah.
and who I feel, I think, sometimes as a performer, you can show more depth by being a monster.
Yep.
If you're purely looking at, words on a page and how did you lift those words off the page
Yeah.
and turn that into a character.
Yeah.
And it is a poignant and important story. It would be nice to see that. But I think, really, I think Emilia Perez might be poised for a sweep. 13 nominations is not a small thing.
But I think Emilia Perez, I'll be kind of shocked that doesn't walk away with a little bit of
Right.
everything.
Films that get 13 nominations, that's a statement.
That
The
is a statement.
the highest number of nominations, the highest nomination count the film's ever had is like 14 nominations. In the 13, yeah, 14.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're like one away, and they're mixed in with some very, very big names as far as having 13 nominations. The thing
Mhm.
about it is Emilia Perez as a film has been getting so much flack from every direction that I don't know if the Academy will vote to stand behind their nominations. I don't know if they
Yeah.
will, because even like LGBTQ
Yeah.
communities are not happy with the content of the film.
Hmm.
And so it's very interesting when people who might be extremely right wing have the
Yeah.
same opinion as people in the LGBTQ community, where they dislike the same thing,
Yeah.
not for exactly the same
Same
reasons,
reasons. That's
not
right.
yeah, not
Yeah.
identical reasons, but
Yeah.
it's an imperfect world and an imperfect art,
Hmm.
and I think that if you can make a film that gets that many people talking about something, I think that in itself is an achievement, because I think it certainly warrants a lot of thought and conversation. You know, not everybody will feel that way, but who on earth can create art that will make everyone feel the same way, right?
Yeah. Exactly. That's an impossibility.
Impossibility.
Hmm.
Now, moving on to the next
Yes.
category of Best Supporting Actress. We have Monica Barbera for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones nominated for Best Supporting Actress for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini nominated as Best Supporting Actress for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana nominated for Best Supporting Actress in Emilia Perez. And John, do you have any thoughts on winners in this category?
It's interesting. So Isabella Rossellini, I think, for Conclave, I think has a pretty serious, possibility of doing this. Ariana Grande, though, like the last year or so, she be. I think a large part of this is the public's watching her, grow in the last couple of years.
Right.
Just from being either being a musician, but being a quite a good actor. actress.
Amazing actress. Yeah.
Amazing actress.
I used to
Exactly. And
watch
that,
her with my daughter in the Disney series Victorious.
yeah.
And, it was pretty obvious. I think other people in the cast, including the lead character playing Victoria, were I think they'd kind of had enough of her because she was constantly making more of her role than what was just on the paper. She
Uh-huh.
brought so much to her performance every single time the
Exactly.
camera was on her that
Yeah.
it was like, whose series is this? Who's the star here? And
Yeah.
you know that you're looking at a star in the making when people take
Absolutely.
a
Yes.
smaller role that's meant to enhance this other person and just run away with it.
Yeah. I really believe that in my opinion, I think she is going to take best supporting actress role. That's what
Uh,
I think she is.
it would be nice if she did.
Yeah.
I feel that because of the structure of the film that she's in
Yeah.
this musical, and it's
Yeah.
based on things that, people think kids like, and
That's
I
right.
I get the feeling that the candy coating on it might make people take it less seriously. I don't know.
Yeah. Is it, can I ask you a question? Is this like the Barbie movie last year? Is it like that way?
Mm.
Because it's kind of kid generated?
Ah,
Is it fall
interesting.
into that category?
I think it definitely does.
Yeah.
And I think people give a
Yeah.
lot of judgment to ladies who wear a lot of pink. I may not be wearing pink right now, and I'm trying to learn to have a more adult relationship with the color pink. However, there are people who make judgments on
Yeah.
that at a glance and who will allow the pinkness of her role to define her performance.
That's
And
really interesting, isn't it? Like it really, really is interesting. But you're right, though. I think yeah.
I love Isabella Rossellini. I loved her way back from like Blue Velvet days. Like what a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
for sure.
loved her in that film because, you can say, yes, okay, objectifying women, she had no clothes on, but
Hmm.
I loved that there was something authentic in her beauty as a woman with no clothes
Yeah.
that I think at the time didn't exist. Like
Hmm.
if her body was absolutely beautiful, and it's like, why are you talking about her body? She's in this thing about the priests and the bishops and the voting and yeah, but I feel that she in her just being herself opened a doorway to this whole movement of what is the authentic beauty of a woman, right?
Elegance.
Yeah. Elegance and just but also just to accept our beauty without having to have that perfected standard that,
Yeah.
it was her right and choice, but that to me more, gave into some years ago, right?
Yeah.
And, have yourself stapled and pressed and, she's Isabella Rossellini is continuing to authentically, you know, bloom and grow as a woman. And you say, well, why
Yeah.
does it matter? Why are you talking about what people look like? I generally don't like making judgments about what people look like, but she did a very important step for women that we needed to see,
Hmm.
which was we're allowed to look like real women. And now in this role, again, aging authentically and not being Hollywoodified as, in her age group of like having to, no matter what age, if you get into your 50s or you get into your 60s, you still have to physically look like you can compete with a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Like truly,
Yeah.
and all of this like ivory and just like, your natural beauty and all that stuff. It's it's you can say it's long overdue, but it's still a thing, right? Yes, they're
Yeah.
allowing, heavier models and so on to have a body type that they're being a little bit more they're allowing for a little more athletic and a little more genuine. But we've got a long, long, long way to go. And whether
Oh, we
she
sure
wanted
do. Oh,
whether
yeah.
she wanted to be or not, Isabella Rossellini, I feel, has been a hero for heroine for women all around the world and anyone who loves a woman, right? So I know there are men behind us
Hmm.
who support this idea. I'd like to see her win as a
Yeah.
amazing performer and as
I'd like to see
a
her win.
hero of women.
Yeah. Yeah. Win.
That was not a political statement. That was just an observation.
Yeah.
How amazing she is. And without going on the fact that she is like, yes, she's also filmmaking royalty.
Yeah.
Isabella Rossellini is filmmaking royalty with her mom and her dad. But the thing is that she is like Ingrid Bergman's daughter,
Yep.
and right, so she's the daughter of Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini, and he's a filmmaker. Is her
Yep.
mom was very, 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 very famous.
Ingrid,
Like,
very
I
famous.
want to be alone.
Yes.
That's the line. So I would love to see her succeed here. I would love to
I
see
would love to see
Ariana
her win. I would love to see
Grande.
her win this.
I would love to see Monica Barra
Hmm.
win here. For a complete unknown. I just, the way people vote in the Oscars is just sometimes it can be so crazy. I feel that Isabella Rossellini should win. I
Yes.
don't feel Zoe Saldana gave a performance that should win. I'm not 100%.
I know. So I was kind of thinking the same. Matter
Uh,
of fact, some reviews I saw were kind of leaning in that direction a little bit.
okay.
Yeah. So
Well, I just think that as far as acknowledgement, it's amazing to be nominated,
yeah.
but I think for coming out with a win, I'd like to see that happen. Like Felicity Jones in The Brutalist,
Hmm.
and there's also like the 6 or 7 minutes of AI in her performance, very small amount.
Hmm.
That's really a controversy that has nothing to do with the performer. Performer doesn't sign a contract saying, "Oh, and
No.
please add,
Yeah.
6 minutes of
Please.
AI to
Yeah.
my."
Yeah. So I can take a break. Yeah. It's not like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Her performance was amazing. The storyline is amazing. What they are bringing to light is amazing
Yeah.
all these years later. And, you know, maybe it's more of a talk for Oscar night as to like what they are bringing to light in these storylines.
Yeah.
However, you know, acknowledging the hard work of bringing these stories that are not easy to talk about what does it do to a family to survive the Holocaust, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and to finally be reunited. I was very, very fortunate way back when I was much younger. I was mentored by Al Waxman.
Mm.
And I actually took I took a class with Al Waxman, which continued. We just kept going. Even after the course was over, we all just voted to keep going. We even had the classes in his kitchen.
Oh,
And
that's amazing.
yeah, when we didn't have any studio space, and then we got studio space in that Top Cop series studios. So and Top Cop, that was also quite a series. I was very fortunate to do a couple of episodes of that.
Oh, very nice.
Um, but so when we were taking classes with Al Waxman, he presented the script for Shayna Madel to me, which he directed. It was at the North York Performing Arts Center, and so before any actor ever did read anything from that script, I performed it in our workshop
Oh, wow.
and in our class, and to understand the family suffering that happens just like amongst loved ones under any condition, let alone an authoritarian government that has destroyed the lives of millions of people.
Yeah.
And like you say, well, that could happen. It can never happen again. Yes, it can never happen again.
Mm.
But we're also going through a time in history where people are being targeted again.
Yeah.
And I feel that living in a society that doesn't permit you to be educated about what has happened,
Mm.
to be educated about the very atrocities and steps that were taken on your very soil where you are, that the blood and tears that are soaked into the soil that you walk through every day,
Mhm.
to have that taken out of your education is incorrect.
I agree.
It is a kind of choice where if within the walls of your home you say we're never going to talk about this stuff, but to say that you'll never be educated, never understand history, and the expression that my high school history teacher, who was my also the vice principal, who said, first day of what was it, grade 10 history, that when you fail to acknowledge what has happened in the past,
Mhm.
then history can repeat itself. And that
Yep.
expression is said in many different ways.
That's so true.
And it is important for these stories to be told. It is important
Yeah.
for a film like The Brutalist to be made and to be
Yes, it
understood,
is.
and to know that it's more than just a form of entertainment,
Yeah.
and to know that things like this must never happen again.
Absolutely.
Never again.
Yeah.
But if one falls, we all fall.
Yep. That's true.
So, Felicity, I hope you win.
Exactly.
There we go. And fight it out with Isabella Rossellini.
Yes.
So those are the nominees that we are looking at for the 2025 Oscar nominations. And come back around to take a look with us at the actual winners in our post-Oscar show here on CooLife Podcast. For now, that's the end of this show. John, I want to thank you for your time and thank you everybody for staying to the end. Until next time, I'm Eva John for CooLife Podcast. Bye.
Bye.
And that was our show. Thank you for listening to the very end. Please remember to subscribe through your streaming service to get more access to our guest interviews. Also, please subscribe on YouTube to help support our podcast. Until next time, I'm Eva John for CooLife Podcast. Thank you for turning me on.
We didn't specify about the length of Brutalist, which I think is worth mentioning if we get a chance to.
I know. Oh yeah, 3 hours 45 minutes.
With a 15-minute intermission.
Ooh, that's a long
It's actually
movie.
built in, like, hey, folks, we know that you probably need to pee. So,
Yeah.
there's a 15-minute intermission.
That's a long movie.
Yeah. Like, come on. Is that a movie anymore? Isn't that like, have they moved into your house? Should
That's
they
a
not
series.
they should be paying you rent, right?
Exactly. That's a
How
series.
long have you been in my house, Adrian Brody? I want some rent.
Yeah, exactly.